former Chief Product Officer. Patty McCord, former Head of HR. Quibi. Jeffrey Katzenberg, Founder. Meg Whitman, CEO. Roku. Anthony Wood, Founder, CEO. Scott Rosenberg, Senior Vice President, Platform Business. The Walt Disney Company. Michael Eisner, former Chairman and CEO. Bob Iger, former CEO and Executive Chairman. Bob Chapek, CEO. Kareem Daniel, Chairman, Media and Entertainment Distribution. Tom Staggs, former Chief Operating Officer. Kevin Mayer, former Chairman, Direct-to-Consumer and International. Jimmy Pitaro, Chairman, ESPN and Sports Content. John Skipper, former President, ESPN. Ricky Strauss, former President, Content and Marketing for Disney+. Albert Cheng, former Chief Product Officer, Digital Media, Disney ABC Television Group. Anne Sweeney, former Co-Chair, Disney Media Networks, former President, Disney ABC Television Group. Preface. Variations on a single question pinged across social media, bobbing in a digital sea just as messages in physical bottles once were set adrift. What are we supposed to do now? Society and popular culture were imitating a scene from the film Inception, folding inward on themselves, piece by piece, as fear of the spreading coronavirus reached its peak. Schools, courthouses, museums, sports venues, movie theaters, concert halls, restaurants, and bars all closed their doors. Travel bans and border shutdowns took effect. Social distancing prevailed, with hugs and high fives shunned and everyone instructed to stand 6 feet apart. Even the happiest place on earth, Disneyland, closed its gates to the public for just the 4th time since its 1955 debut. The previous 3 occasions, after a presidential assassination, a terrorist attack, and an earthquake, were single-day closures. This time, days without visitors stretched into months without an end in sight. The U.S. followed Italy, China, South Korea, and other countries in forcing most of its population to hunker down for weeks and leave home only when it was necessary. There was no other term for it. This was quarantine. Derived from the Italian phrase 40 giorni, translated as 40 days, quarantine began as a practice in the 14th century as Europe confronted a series of deadly plagues. A casualty rate comparable to the Black Deaths had not yet accrued in this new pandemic, but people were contending with an invisible, inchoate threat that had upended daily life and unsettled the collective consciousness. What, those social media messages in bottles implored, would ever fill our yawning void? Streaming, it turned out, was one of the few medically sound answers to that question. America, already accustomed to spending hours a day in a screen-filled cocoon, would respond to the crisis by serving itself more and bigger portions of comfort food. Traditional television initially saw the benefit of this response, with broadcast viewership in major cities spiking between 10 and 20% in a single week in mid-March, as frustrated viewers tracked the contagion and its effects on financial markets and the 2020 election. The momentary lift provided by the nation's news obsession didn't last. In fact, it exposed the threadbare nature of the viewing options available through traditional TV. Unless you were committed to constantly monitoring local or national news, there was little else to watch. With network programming disrupted by production shutdowns and the freeze on live events, everything from reality and award shows to Saturday Night Live to sports contests, the pay TV bundle felt more anachronous than ever. A sudden and intense economic recession, which followed a solid 10-year expansion, accelerated the trend of customers cutting and shaving the cord. Thankfully for traditional cable operators, broadband internet access became more essential a commodity than Purell, and those profit margins remained fat.